Very interesting point there. Let's now look at international reaction to the shooting. You're looking at CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio in London. Ramy, good morning. So how have world leaders been responding to this weekend's events?
Errol, yeah, initial reaction around the world has first been shock and then relief that it wasn't worse for President Trump, for the First Lady, and or the president's cabinet. Messages of solidarity coming from leaders around the world, despite the president's words, I might add, or actions over the past year or longer that have made things, if you will, at least tense for a lot of them. One was coming from NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's been navigating the future unity of NATO under Trump, expressing shock and relief there. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also weighed in, an even closer ally in these days. He said that he was relieved. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who's been trying to mediate peace between the U.S. and Iran, even over the past few days, said that he was relieved too. And then here in the UK from Prime Minister Keir Starmer, we know who has had a very much on-again, off-again relationship with President Trump. More leaders, though, also putting this through the lens of democracy, Errol, saying that violence has no place in a democracy, coming from the leaders of France, Germany, and Italy. So in some, shock, relief, solidarity, but again, that democracy must be upheld and it must be protected.
And meanwhile, Ramy, what is happening with the U.S. war with Iran? There was a hope for some potential peace talks over the weekend, which seemed to fizzle. What's the latest on that front?
Yeah, basically the latest round of talks between the U.S. and Iran fell apart before they even got started. They were supposed to happen in Islamabad. President Trump, at the last minute on Friday, decided not to send his envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. He said that he didn't want them to spend something like 15 hours on planes back there and then coming back just to get, in his words, a document that wasn't good enough. And then over the weekend, though, we did see movement on Iran's part. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi flying around the region in Pakistan and in Oman, talking to mediators there. Right now, today, he is in Russia, and he's supposed to meet President Vladimir Putin. And I have to point out that bringing Russia into this probably is making Washington take notice, because Moscow getting into this is some kind of bigger counterweight to potentially try to weaken a deal, make it less favorable for the United States. On the flip side, if you want to take that, Iran, we know, has also offered to take custody of Iran's uranium like it did back in 2015. So that could then be a window again to address the nuclear issue there. But on top of all this, President Trump says, implies at least, that the talks are not over, because he said that Iran could pick up the phone and call him directly if they want to negotiate. But right now, we're not seeing anything from Iran's government, whether they will take him up on that offer.
All right, Ramy Inocencio in our London bureau. Ramy, thank you.